Hello friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to have some fun looking at brand new perennials that are available on the website gardeningwithcreekside.com. All of these are up, they are live, they are ready to go, ready to be ordered, and we will send them to you when it is appropriate for your growing zone, right? So what we're focusing on are the new introductions to Creekside. Now, some of these plants have been around for years. These are just new ones that we are offering to our online customers. I already know that some people are going to ask about the nursery. We will have some of these available at the nursery too. It's a little bit of give or take, but definitely you can go to the website and look at these because there are some fun ones, ones that have been around for years and years and years that we are adding to our website. All right, my friends, so what we're going to do is just walk through the perennials that are new. There's going to be a big number of perennials here at the front because these are a lot of the new ones. And then, of course, as we get towards the end, then we have got some of the new proven winner introductions for this year that we're going to be focusing on. And we have some pre-releases. So lots of fun things. And we have things for shade, sun, you name it, we have got it. Now, again, no particular order. These are just in the order of which they are laid out right here. So now this is fun. This is a Jacob's ladder. This is Stairway to Heaven. And Stairway to Heaven is really cool because it has those variegated leaves. So if you can see, and we're doing our best here, y'all, the camera is not being very cooperative. These are going to be hardy in zones 3 to 8. It is going to be about 12 to 15 inches tall. That will include the flowers, and 12 to 18 inches wide. It is, that variegation is absolutely gorgeous, and it is going to have really sweet light blue flowers roughly in that early spring. So it depends on the calendar and your climate as to where you are, but this prefers really moist, rich, well-draining soil, and it's not going to melt in our heat and humidity of the summer. So very cool. If you're familiar with other Jacob's ladders, these are just really neat because of that variegation on the foliage. Then we've got an absolute classic, y'all. I mean, you cannot beat, this was probably the one that started it all for the Shasta daisies. This is Becky. Of course, there have been lots of new introductions since Becky, but Becky is just an absolutely classic plant. Hardy in zones 5 to 9. It's going to be about 3 feet tall, in that about not quite 2 feet wide. Classic Shasta daisy, big yellow center with those white flowers. Just a gorgeous plant. Already been super impressed with how it's growing here in the greenhouse, and just love it. Of course, you need the sun for your Shasta daisies. Nice kind of well-draining soil. If you hit a dry spot, just give it a little bit of extra water. And of course, your Shasta daisies make great cut flowers. So we have got Becky as well. Now, we've tried to add more things for the shade garden because I think sometimes the sun gardens get all the love. So we're trying to really add in some new ones. Now, here we have Trevi Fountain, and this is from the folks over at Terra Nova Nurseries. Terra Nova, if you're familiar, just has some great breeding in their plants. Really nice. Now, this is not new to the market. It has been here for a while. And what you're looking at this now, and you're like, well, Jenny, there is not a lot of foliage to that plant. And you're right, because we do have all of this right here is new foliage, but it is January. So what's happening is our roots are growing, and that is what we care about, because once the temperatures start to go up, then all that beautiful new foliage comes up. This is going to be a sun to a part shade. It's going to depend on your growing zone. It's hardy in zones 4 to 9. So if you're in zone 4, you absolutely could do the full sun. If you're in a zone 8, 9, even maybe like a 7B, you're going to need to have some more shade on it. This is going to be about 11 inches tall and about 2 feet wide. Beautiful big mound with that gorgeous foliage on it, and has those large cobalt blue flowers in early spring. If you have got a shade garden, maybe that with your hostas, I'm thinking here in the south because I say shade garden, maybe you've got rabbit issues. Pulmonaria tend to be more rabbit resistant because they're kind of hairy. So we've got Trevi Fountain, and then now This is where you just have to trust me, okay? And Amsonia. Now, I can hear a friend of mine who is now gone to be with the Lord, and he would say, Jenny, why are you selling me a bunch of sticks? And you could say, Jenny, why are you selling me a dead plant? Well, this plant is not dead. It is dormant. And this is an Amsonia. It is the classic Hubrichtii of Amsonia. If you are familiar with our videos, this is the exact same Amsonia that I have right there in the cottage garden and beside the garden shed. I prune it. It is absolutely stunning in the spring because it does true blue flowers. They are star-shaped. This is also known as a blue star. This is a beautiful native plant, hardy in zones 5 to 9, and it will get every bit of that 3 feet to 4 feet. Does this beautiful, nice mounded, gives movement in the garden, acts like a grass after it has flowered. So you're going to get early spring blooms on it, beautiful blue, and then you get that great foliage. And then in the fall, it turns a golden yellow, absolutely gorgeous plant. So again, this can be cut off because all the action is happening down here in the roots. So got that native Amsonia. Now we're going to another Jacob's ladder, and this is called Hurricane Ridge. So if you have found that Jacob's ladders do really well in your garden, in your climate, this is that case of embrace it, lean into it. So you could have the variegated one, and now look at the completely different texture, the different color to the Hurricane Ridge. This is going to do really sweet, like bluish purple flowers on it. Again, hardy in zones 5 to 9, 14 inches tall, 18 inches wide, and absolutely gorgeous foliage on it. So stinking fun on this. So there you go. You got Hurricane Ridge. Terra Nova is definitely known for their eucharas. They do a great job in their eucharas and getting us loads of color. Say hello to Red Lightning. Oh my gosh, y'all. We have these plants in the greenhouse right now because we're trying to get those roots to get really growing. And so your eucharas are what I call a semi-evergreen. Here in zone 8A, they do keep their foliage in the wintertime, but look at that. I know it's little, but envision this as a mature plant. It'll be 16 inches wide and 11 inches tall. Hardy in zones 4 to 9. This is going to be more on the shade side, right? So more for your shade gardens. They do great in containers. You can put them in the landscape. Just make sure they have some nice, well-draining soil. Love this plant. It is absolutely stunning. So we've got those. Then we've got some Delosperma. So Delospermas are an ice plant. You might be familiar with that term. This is a really neat one. And y'all, I'm telling you, Delospermas, they kind of look like seaweed to me because they are very like a succulent sedum-esque type plant. This is Wheels of Wonder. But look at this. Again, here in zone 8A, my Delospermas they look just like this in the landscape. And we have had some really cold temperatures and they are still hanging out. So even in the wintertime, you have got some foliage there. These are hardy in zones 6 to 9, but they're a great ground cover. They only get 4 to 6 inches tall, but they can get 2 feet wide. And with White Wonder, of course, you get those pure white flowers. So it'll go in any kind of color scheme that you have in your garden. And it is a long bloomer. Like it is a continuous long bloomer that will go from spring until fall. And I mean, it's just a great one. Very drought tolerant, very easy to take care of. But you definitely need to have well draining soil for your ice plant. So there you have the Wheels of Wonder, White Wonder. And first of all, I pull up the plant. So I'm looking at the plant. Let's just have a little science lesson here. Nice size plant. It's not crazy impressive, but it is a nice size plant. But I pulled it up and guess what I found? That beautiful root. That, my friend, is what we are looking for as a grower. That means exactly what I told you. We're not really concerned about the growth up top, what's happening right now in January. We're excited to see those beautiful roots that are growing and developing in there. So, a little side note for you. Okay, so this is, I don't know, silver scimitar? So all my pronunciation police out there, you can go ahead and correct me and tell me how I'm doing that wrong and how to properly pronounce this. But again, if pulmonaria does well in your garden and you love having pulmonaria, then this is going to be completely different looking than Trevi Fountain, because look at that foliage. It is basically all silver, right? So again, y'all embrace it, lean in. Whatever your garden has, go for that, because you're going to have such variation in your garden. Zones 5 to 9, again, sun to part shade, so not quite as cold tolerant. I think Trevi Fountain was zone 4, 14 inches tall, 18 inches wide on this guy. We're going back into eucharis, y'all. There's not a really big of like rhyme or reason how we have these planted placed down here. Back to Terra Nova, berry smoothie. Oh my gosh. Love this color. I had the most fun shopping for these plants. We were looking for plants that had, of course, great color to them, great heat and humidity tolerance, because for us in the South, that is what we have to deal with. So just know that if you are a fellow Southern gardener and you want to do these eucharis, that we have selected them for their heat and humidity tolerance on them. Hardy zones 4 to 9 is still in that shade. A lot of these are the same kind of conditions, and the size is going to be 18 inches tall. That would be including the flower stalk, 20 inches wide. But it's the color that we're looking for. And of course, that berry smoothie, absolutely lovely on that. While we're doing the eucharis, because I got another one right next door. This is Georgia peach. So let me just, so see that? So we have a little bit more of that pinky peach to it. Absolutely beautiful one. And of course, as this plant grows, as your roots grow, then all this foliage is going to take off. All of our perennials are in quart size containers. This one's going to be 14 inches tall, 24 inches wide. So a little bit bigger of a plant as far as your width on that. This little guy, oh my gosh, has been quite happy. This is Campanula. This is pink octopus. And pink octopus is, I mean, the name, first of all, is fantastic. And then you've got those crazy cute flowers on it. And then the foliage is really neat. It's really kind of very serrated on the edges. This is going to be hardy in zones 5 to 9, a sun to part shade. It's going to be 10 inches tall, 18 inches wide. So you have those Japanese lantern-like flowers, opened to a striking pink octopus-like flower. Long bloom time, very cool. So got the pink octopus there for sure. Now, coming on down here, this is again one that you're just going to have to trust me. This, we'll throw some pictures up for you, but you could go, well, Jenny, now you're selling me an empty pot, a pot of soil. Like, what in the world, woman? Well, this is Dicentra white gold, and Dicentra is a bleeding heart. Bleeding hearts will go completely dormant in the wintertime, and they love it really cool. They're hardy in zones 4 to 8. And what makes white gold so cool is if you are familiar with the, oh shoot, what's the pink one that has the chartreuse color, honey, that we sell? Oh, that's going to drive me crazy. We sell it at the garden center. We grow it and sell it. So, but this would be the companion to it. It has chartreuse, so bright, fun color of the foliage, but then your flowers are a pure white. What we have, gold heart. Yeah, gold heart. There we go. It's gold heart at the nursery. Same chartreuse color of the foliage, but pink flowers. So this is a great companion. You could plant them together. It would be stunning. They get some height to them, about 2 feet tall and about 3 feet wide. The thing that you need to know about your bleeding hearts is just like this. They love it cold. So they're going to go dormant. If you notice your bleeding hearts, especially if you're in the hotter zones like me, in July, it looks like it's dying. Like you're like, oh my gosh, something's happening. It's too hot. They're dying. They're not dying. They're going dormant. Trust me, we have had so many customers be like, it's a resurrection plant because it just came back from the dead in the spring. It wasn't dead. It was simply dying. I mean, going dormant rather. Sorry. And then we've even had it. We've found, bleeding hearts where some of our workers didn't realize. They thought that the plant was dead, and so they emptied the pot into the woods. Come spring, we have a whole section of nothing but bleeding hearts. So don't make that mistake in the heat of the summer. Just leave it alone. You can cut it back if you want to, but that is a great option for those shady gardens as well. We have another pulmonaria. We are leaning into the pulmonarias because they are great plants for those shade gardens. Y'all, this is shrimps on the Barbie. And shrimps on the Barbie, we grew and sold at the garden center years and years ago. And Mimi had grabbed, I think, like 3 or 4 for her garden. And she still has them to this day. We've actually seen them in her garden on her tours. And this is gorgeous. So where the other pulmonarias do blue flowers, shrimps on the Barbie does these really electric pink flowers. Still hardy in zones 4 to 9. Definitely for your shade garden. 10 inches tall, 2 feet wide. Mimi's are every bit of 2 feet wide, and they are beautiful. So you have that shrimps on the Barbie. Like I said, been around for years. It is a great plant. You will definitely love it. Acanthus. A bear's breech or bear's breeches. You can get several different ways. I'm trying to find one that has great variegation on it. Here we go. So this is Acanthus whitewater. And so Acanthus whitewater is going to have gorgeous variegated foliage on it. And you can see we've already got some right there that you can see this. This is going to be for those shade gardens. Again, this is definitely going to be more of a presence because it can get to be like a 3x3 plant. So it can get to be a nice good size for our warmer zones, 7 to 10. It also does great in containers. It will do this really gorgeous like spike of a flower that is really fun. And yeah, and it is a vigorous plant. It's a vigorous variegated acanthus, striking bold leaves, forms a large clump with 4-foot tall showy flower stalks with pink and cream flowers in the summer. I personally cannot wait to add this. All right, moving on to some more beautiful, fantastic perennials. We have got some Begonia. Now, this again is an absolute classic. Industry standard. This is Alexander's Great. Y'all, look at this. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? We have got beautiful foliage. You've got new foliage popping out again. Let me show you as a grower what I am most excited about. What is that? Yes, my friend, that is a root popping out. So I know that this plant is very happy. 1, because I can see new growth popping out. 2, I have got roots coming out the bottom. That is like mwah, the chef's kiss for us to see as a grower. Now, your Begonia, again, going to be nice, deer, rabbit resistant because it is hairy. I didn't say deer proof. Nothing is deer proof and nothing is rabbit proof. If they're hungry, they will eat it. Hardy in zones 4 to 8. 15 inches tall. That would include the flower spikes. 24 inches wide. It's called Alexander's Great for a reason because it is going to have nice big. Now this would be a baby leaf. Once it gets in the ground, those leaves get nice and big. But gorgeous color for those shady gardens. Huge, huge heart-shaped flowers on it. Next, we have carrots. We do love a good carex around here if you've watched any of our videos in gardening. This is blue Zinger. And so blue Zinger is a lovely carex that does have that blue hue to it. Hence the name. I know it's just kind of crazy how they come up with these names. But your carexes are going to be a beautiful evergreen grass plant, hardy in zones 4 to 9, 10 to 12 tall, 6 to 12 wide. We're growing this for the foliage, folks, right? We want to have that nice kind of that mounded, like hair-like foliage on it. Goes great in containers, in the landscape, however you want to do it. Just beautiful arching steel blue foliage on it. I have it in the garden in a container. Red Hot Pokers, of course, another long-standing plant. This is from, again, Terra Nova. This is Rocket Junior. So Gnophobias are great because depending on where you are, you're going to keep your green foliage for a long time in the season, even after it has stopped flowering. It's going to be hardy in zones 6 to 9. This is a full sun plant that is going to be about 16 inches tall and about 9 inches wide. So very, very manageable. It is not going to overtake your garden like your grandmama's Red Hot Pokers, right? Like we'll be driving down the road and like one of our neighbors has one of the old timey ones. Swanee, that thing is like 4 feet tall. It's massive. Nice and petite, does great, beautiful continuous spikes on it. You will love Rocket Junior. Kind of has that ombre look of that yellow is the older blooms to like an orangey red. Gorgeous one on that. Gnophobias tend to be pretty fast growers as well. We have another runner-up. We have Alexandria. We had Alexander's Great, and now we have Alexandria. So your Alexandria is going to have a really nice, a lot more like silver in the leaves to it. You can see that, these little sweet little baby leaves. We've got some new foliage right here. It is a perfect match for Alexander's Great, that has the light blue flowers hovering in the spring. And if you're in the cooler zones, it's going to be more sun. If you're in the warmer zones, it is going to be more shade. Zones 4 to 9 on that one as well. Again, whatever you have found that does really well in your garden, lean into it and get as many different cultivars as you possibly can on those. This is another Jacob's Ladder that is a very happy one. She is growing quite well. Oh, never mind. This is more Hurricane Ridge. That's why I was like, man, this thing is going happy. So we have 2 of them. So we had one down here and one down there. So never mind. Forget that. So you can tell that Hurricane Ridge is doing quite well. Now, moving into some of the proven winners. We're kind of moving into some different things right here. Y'all, daylilies. This daylily, I am so excited about this daylily. This is the Rainbow Rhythm, fearfully and wonderfully made. Look at that flower. Is that not gorgeous? Now, of course, your daylilies are dormant right now. This is not when we have a lot of active top growth. This is when we have great root growth. And your fearfully wonderfully made is going to have coral pink blooms, rich cranberry red eyes, and this is hardy in zones 3 to 9, be about 2 feet tall and 18 inches wide. This year there is a new Nepeta from our friends at Proven Winners. This is your Lemon Perfection. Of course, this is a catmint, and so they have a lovely play on words there with the perfection. But you can see how we've got lots of beautiful new growth. Yes, it is nice and tight and compact. This is just some growth that was old from last season, but we've got some nice new growth right here. Again, nice and chartreuse. Nice tidy plant is going to be an early bloomer, lavender blue flowers over that beautiful chartreuse color. It is such a beautiful plant. Y'all, I would just say we have got trucks coming up all over the place, and Brenna, the alarm is going off. Brenna, quiet. So we have the gas companies here. We've got aquapot inserts being delivered. It's just a circus. So the Lemon Perfection is going to be hardy in zones 3 to 8. 16 is to 18 inches wide, 10 to 12. I think you're really going to like this because of that color. It is a beautiful one. Quite lovely. Now we're going to move on down here. These are some of the things that we've always had, whether it's different phloxes and grasses, those kinds of things. Coming down here, we do have a new, look at this daylily. Singular Sensation. This is from our friends at Walter's Gardens. Again, dear heavens to Betsy, is that not a beautiful plant? This is going to be hardy in zones, again, 3 to 9, 2 feet tall, 2 feet wide. So that kind of gives you an idea on that. Again, look at those lovely roots. This is what makes me so happy to see nice, happy root growth on those. Now, we have got a selection of hellebores right here. And these are all going to be within that Frost Kiss series of hellebores. Lenten roses. So we have 4 different cultivars within this series of the Frost Kiss series. So we've got the Penny's Pink, Charmer, Moon Dance that I'm holding, and then Anna's Red. Now, your hellebores, Lenten roses, are called that because they're going to bloom, depending on your climate, right around this time up to the season of Lent. That is why they're called Lenten roses. These things, there are tons of times and pictures that you will see on the internet of them covered in snow and their little flowers peeking up above it. Hellebores, of course, are just a great perennial for that sun to dappled sun shade garden. They are deer resistant. They are evergreen. They're going to be hardy in zones 6 to 9. I'm telling you, y'all, especially if you get a little bit of seasonal depression as a gardener and you want to see some flowers and some interest in your garden and you don't have hellebores, you need to get them. Mine in the garden are beginning to bloom. Your Frost Kiss is known because the foliage has a little bit of variegation in it and it's going to be a little bit of a later bloomer, so you can have a continuous display. You have multiple different varieties of hellebores, lots of the seasons of interest. So you've got those. Also, limited amount of the new Rudbeckia. This is Treasure Trove. And Treasure Trove is absolutely covered in beautiful foliage and flowers. This is going to be about in that 3-foot size type plant. Absolutely covered. Of course, we love our Rudbeckias. You can see we've already got new growth popping out. We just planted these like a week ago. Hardy in zones 4 to 9. And if you are looking for a high performing Rudbeckia, Treasure Trove is a good one. Brand new on the market. This is actually a pre-release. This is not going to be released until 2026. We got our hands on some of these that we can release early. So if you're interested, this is one you don't dilly-dally. Go ahead and order it, because once this is gone, it's gone, and we're not going to get it probably until maybe in the late fall. We'll have some more for you on that. And then, of course, Serendipity Allium is the one that's been around. This is Bobblehead. Now, Bobblehead is going to be a bigger plant than Serendipity. So if alliums work really good in your garden, again, lean into that. Bobblehead is going to be a lighter lavender color than Serendipity. It's going to be bigger, and it's going to bloom a little bit later. So you're going to extend that bloom season. And again, nice new growth on it. Rabbit resistant because it's an onion. Pollinators go nuts over it. Love those Serendipities. This is from our friends at Walter's Gardens. This is the Cherry Royale. Now, if you remember the back of the garden shed, I did a garden last year. This is the Buddleia that is back there. Cherry Royale is going to be a medium size. It's going to be bigger than a Pugster, but smaller than the Miss series from Proven Winners. That 4.5 tall and wide. Y'all, gorgeous flowers on this plant. Love this plant. We just potted it up. Buddleias do great. Obviously, butterfly bush, all your pollinators. This is a really cool, great performing Buddleia that I think you're going to like in that mid-size range on there. We are trying to do a better job as far as offering like the diversity of the plants that we offer you, whether you're a full sun garden, whether you're a full shade garden, or somewhere in between, whether you are a brand new gardener or you've been gardening for gazillions of years and you're looking for something new and fun. We're trying to offer that to you. So if there is something that you know that's out there, put it in the comments. Maybe we can find it, source it, and get it for you. But that's how we get some great recommendations on plants, is from you. So please let us know. But just know that it is a great time to be thinking about the garden ahead, because there's not much that we can do outside when it's either this crazy cold or you're buried under snow. So we can dream and we can plan for the upcoming season. Typically, the earlier you get your perennials in the ground, the better, because that way the roots can really get nice and happy. So spring is a great time for your perennials, and then fall is a great time for your perennials. Of course, there's always those exceptions of those plants that love it hot, that love to be planted in July. Hello, Echinacea, I'm looking at you. And so there is something to plant at all the times. But we hope you have found this helpful and it's been informative, inspirational, and a little bit of fun here at the craziness at Creekside. As always, y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.